Hey, what is going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Welcome to Sunday Night Live with me and Ryan. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm nervous.
Why are you
Just
nervous, man?
the event's coming. I'm starting to just
Yeah,
get the butterflies. You know,
it
when it
is
was a few months
game
away, you're
time.
like, this is nothing. This is forever away. And now it's
It
next
is game time.
week,
Yeah,
and it's real. It's here. It's
yeah, dude.
happening. So it's
The
very
MWAVE has been 6 months in the planning, and so if you guys are just joining us in the chat and you haven't heard about MWAVE, Ryan and I began brainstorming about 6 months ago. What would it look like if we tried to put on a physical event that allowed home theater enthusiasts, two-channel enthusiasts, the opportunity to experience some really cool things, such as being able to compare projectors side by side, amplifiers side by side, in some blind testing, creating some fun event type stuff to where you could demo certain brands. We've got RTJ, we've got Benchmark, we've got Per Listen, we've got Martin Logan, a bunch of different brands that are going to be there. We've got Sony projectors, their brand new lineup. But yeah, dude, it's been honestly, in full transparency, this has been way more than I really thought that it was going to be.
I think it would have been a little bit different if we were doing it virtually. Like if this was
Well,
just
of course it
virtual,
would be.
it would have
Yeah,
been cake.
yeah, yeah,
But the fact that this is actually in person
yeah.
is
I
just
mean,
very
yeah. Well, we're renting out.
there's a lot.
We're renting out a. How would you describe the space?
It's a professional level auditorium.
Auditorium. That yeah. So I mean, we're renting out an auditorium, like a huge 10,000 square foot stage auditorium. We've got vendors flying in from all over the country. Um, it's a real deal. And then Thursday with our VIPs, VIP Gold and VIP Platinum, we're doing 3 home theater tours back to back, starting at 10 a.m., finishing supposedly at 10 p.m. at your house. That may
And
go
if
further.
anything like what's happened in the past is carries on here,
Yeah,
we're gonna be up.
midnight. Yeah,
Well past that. I
yeah,
don't even know that we'll
yeah.
sleep on
We
Thursday
better.
night.
Yeah,
I
we
hope
better.
we do, because we still have to. Like after everybody leaves, then we have to pack
Load
everything
up.
up. All the
Yeah, load
speakers
up.
have to get boxed up and
Yeah.
stuff and ready to go.
Yeah, but
And
everybody's
then,
not leaving until it's all packed up. That's the goal. They
oh, you're
can't
keeping
leave.
everybody
I'm
hostage?
gonna
Is
keep
that what's going
everybody.
on?
I'm putting them to work, man. That's free
All right.
labor.
All right.
Now, I've already talked to a lot of them. They're like, absolutely, dude. Because here's the cool thing: the people that are showing up to Midwest AV Experience, they're coming because they're true enthusiasts. You know, if you're willing to take time off work, if you're willing to drive several hours, if you're willing to get on a plane, stay in a hotel, you're not your casual home theater. Now, maybe you're one, maybe
I
you
mean, you
don't
could
have a,
be,
yeah. I
and you're
mean,
just going
maybe,
off on a limb. I don't know.
well, but they're there to try to get some information. Like I talked to one gentleman, he's building a home theater and he's coming because he wants to gather ideas. He wants to be able to experience some things that he doesn't have a chance to do in his own local area. But if they're willing to do that, they're like, yeah, for us to grab some speakers and help you load them up, man, that's not work for us. That's fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, by having 30 people at your house, that's a whole lot easier for all of us to grab one or two things than for me and you to grab all of those things. So, but I think it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be awesome, man. We've got a huge weekend. I'm jumping on a flight Tuesday night. Um, we're going to be hanging out Wednesday, getting last minute stuff ready, getting some food and different things. Thursday morning, hit the ground running at Jonathan's house, do an awesome home theater tour there for several hours, grab some lunch, head over to Grant's house, do another home theater tour. So Jonathan has a full JBL. Is it considered a line array? Is that kind
Yes,
of?
I think they are.
Yeah, I think that's the classification. It's just a bunch of small speakers, bunch of mid-range drivers in a line. So I think it's a line array. But he's got a complete identical JBL speakers for all his bed layer, his Atmos speakers. It's literally the most immersive experience I've had. You can walk anywhere in his room and it's like there's sound. You don't get that in my room. You get off axis and you get over near the wall and it sounds way different than if you're in the main
Mm-hmm.
listening position. So his is just really different, which is really awesome. So that's going to be a cool, unique experience. Then we're going to go to Grant's home. He's got a full JTR system. And then we're going to go later on to your home and hear Martin Logan's system. So it's just going to be a fun day. And then Friday night, well, actually Friday morning, starting bright and early, we'll be at the lead center getting everything set up, because we can't get access to the lead center until that morning. So we've got volunteers that are showing up that are going to help us get everything set up, dialed in. Nick's coming in to calibrate the projectors. It's going to be a full day. And dude, 3:00 hits, registration, hang out till about 5, get started at 5. I think we go till, is it 9? I don't remember if it's 9 or 10.
I think it's really whenever.
Yeah. But there's a cutoff time, but we'll finish that night. That'll be just a fun time of hangout, get to know you. We'll do some demos in the 2 areas. We'll introduce myself, Ryan, give a chance for each one of the vendors to kind of talk about them and what they brought to the show, which is going to be really cool. And then all day Saturday and all day Sunday will be just various comparisons,
seminars and
demos and seminars from various people. Stop the FOMO is going to be doing a seminar. MadVR is doing a seminar. I think Martin Logan's doing a seminar.
Yep.
I'm probably missing 1 or 2. So it's just
going to be we can fit any other ones in.
Dude, it's going to be a full weekend.
It's very full, right? Yeah, because when we do these comparisons, right, we're effectively putting you guys in these rooms for like an hour and a half, right? So you're going to have an hour and a half. You'll have more time, right? Because you can spend as much time as you guys want in front of the speakers on Friday and after stuff and all of that. But we're starting on Saturday with the speaker comparison. So speaker comparison, you got the Neoliths, we're not really sure what's going to happen with the statements, because the statements have to go up against a wall because they're technically an in-wall speaker, and they use the
like the wall as
the cavity in the wall as the cabinet. So they're supposed to go up against a wall with a custom-made box, but I don't know how we're going to make that work. So we'll see. Yeah. They are going to be there. Then the RTJ 410s with quads, the Perlissons S7Ts, the JBL 70 J1s. You guys are going to be able to have all of those right next to each other, right? So we're going to be able to flip back and forth between all of those speakers in real time. Like you're talking half a second, if that, to cut from one speaker, best in class in the world, to another one. And that's something that I don't know that's really ever been done with speakers of this level. Who can say ever if somebody's been able to switch from the Neoliths to something else with something like that? I mean, I don't know of anybody that's been able to do something like that. And then the other room, you're doing room correction, and it's the same thing. Martin Logan 60 XTIs, 5 of them around the room. And we're also doing the JBL 70 J1 CBTs, because as you said earlier, 150 degree dispersion, it allows us to get a bunch of people in that room and have very similar experiences regardless of the seating position. So in there, same thing, we've got a Denon X8500 HA, an Anthem, I don't remember which one it is, a Storm Audio ISP Mark II, actually it's probably going to be a Mark III, and then a Lingdorf with Room Perfect. So you've got Odyssey, Arc, Dirac, and Room Perfect. And we're going to be able to flip between all of those in under a second. So you're going to be able to move from one to the other and have the audio come. All of them are going to be room corrected, and then we're going to go through after room correction and level match all of them. And you guys are going to be able to figure out what these things are doing differently. And we're not going to go play with them afterwards, meaning we're not going to go further EQ. We're just going to let the room correction do its thing. And could that be detrimental? Maybe, but we want people to really get an objective opinion and really get to be able to understand how these things are doing, what they're doing differently. Hey, this one's doing this one's doing this. And you guys are going to be able to compare all of that. And then once that first hour and a half session's done, right? So one group's going to be in with the speakers, other one's going to be in room correction. Then we're going to take a break, lunch, all that stuff. Then we're going to flip stuff. So we're going to go to DACs and amps. So the main stage with all the big speakers is going to be amplifiers. And then the other ones, which I think we're probably going to put the statements in there, we'll move to DACs. So it's going to be, I think, really interesting for people and whether or not they can tell the difference. And then you've got a whole nother time period to be able to go through and listen, take notes. And it's going to be a very relaxed experience, right? We're not trying to rush anything. And some people say, oh, an hour and a half, that's too long. Some people say it's not enough.
No.
Well, excuse me. I feel like I'm dying.
I think you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we just want to have people have enough time to be able to do all of this. And then Sunday is projector day, which is a whole nother thing in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be here's the bottom line. Nobody's ever done anything quite like this. And the reality is, number one, I want to have a blast with you guys. Those of you that are coming out, going to hang out with us, man. I want us to build some friendships. I want us to have some cool experiences together. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a blast. Every year, the goal is, when I was in student ministry, we would do an event, and immediately after that event was over, I'm meeting with my team and going, okay, what worked well? What could we improve? What are we not ever going to try again? And so you learn from those things. And so we're going to take that information. We're going to take feedback from those that were in attendance and just, okay, how can we take what we've done this year, make it better next year, improve it?
How can we make it not suck?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to suck at all.
I think we're gonna have some problems because it's the first year. We're gonna run into something.
Yeah, but you get a bunch of enthusiasts together, and we're gonna have fun, and that's the biggest thing. I want us to walk away going, I want us to have an experience that we don't get at a trade show, and not to knock trade shows because I like going to them, but I want it to be totally unique experience. I want people to come to this and go, I can't get this type of experience anywhere else. Can't get it at Expone. I can't get it at CEDIA. I can't get it at, all these other ones. What you guys are doing is really, you're trying something. And I've always been of the mindset, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We can always go back to what we've done before, which is nothing. You know what I mean? So
Michael, I got to say this. I'm just proud of that. I found somebody that's willing to take the first step.
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
And not run away and say, oh, well, it'd be cool if somebody else could do it, and say, oh, well, let's do it.
Yeah. So it's going to be cool, man. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm super pumped, dude. It's kind of a dream come true because I've never been a guy that's a visionary. I've never been able to see things in the future, kind of not, you know what I mean? Not like weird way, but like envision something happening. But this is something that I legit, when you and I first began talking about this, I began thinking that could literally be a thing. Like that could literally happen. And so I just said, let's go for it, man. So we have done that from day one. By the time I got home, I was immediately building the website, working on the logo. We were reaching out to brands. We're talking it up on the channel, seeing if there's even an interest. And, so I'm proud of us, man. So I think it's going to be fun. Looking forward to getting to know you guys. I had a gentleman call me today that's going to be in attendance. And he was asking some questions about the VIPs and what time he needed to be at Jonathan's house. And I know Chris is going to be there. He's one of our VIPs. Where's he at? He said something kind of cool.
I think he's off the screen now.
No, here we go. So Chris says, Ryan, you need a hug, bro?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, but Chris is going to be there. He's one of our VIPs. So we're excited to hang out with him. So we're just going to have a blast, man. So let's go ahead and answer some questions here. So actually, before I do that, if you're interested, I know it's super late in the game, but man, it's happening.
Just pull the trigger.
Down
just do it.
July 22nd, 24th. There's still time to get in there. We do have one VIP that opened up literally just like either a day or two ago. We had one that a VIP that backed out. So there's one VIP left, and then there's one VIP gold, and then we have general admission as well. The general admission gets you access to all 3 days. Okay. So you'll get Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. It's not like you got to pay that individual. Somebody asked me that. But all the details on the website, MidwestAVExperience.com. Would love to have you out. And if you're not going to be able to make it this year, man, make plans to be there next year because it's going to be even bigger, better. We're going to have a blast, and we're going to learn a lot from this year. So let's go ahead and jump into some comments here. So Christian asks, why does everyone make a big deal about the JTR 110? So is that the slant 110s that he's referring to? Or is he talking about the RTJ 110s?
There's a few different versions. So
Christian, give us maybe a little bit more context.
I think we
on
need
that.
a little more idea of what he's talking about. If you're just talking about the 110 in general, the coaxial speaker, the reason people make such a big deal out of it is because it's very flat, meaning its frequency response is really good, and it's capable of getting amazingly loud without distortion, right? So it's just a very capable speaker is what it comes down to, and it's not overly expensive in comparison to what else is on the market. Now, it's not flashy, right? But it's very capable.
So we've got the 110s. So that would be like a surround speaker you'd mount on the side. And so this would be like an Atmos speaker or a height speaker. It's already got an angle in it. It's a coaxial driver. So you've got the mid-range around the outside, tweeters in the center. I've heard the 8s. Jeff used to make I forget the model number, but it's basically the 8-inch version of this. But the 10-inch
Grant has those.
Yeah. Oh, he has these?
I think he has the 8s.
Okay,
I think he has the 8s.
Yeah, I can't remember who had what because I've seen so many JTR systems, but if that's what you're talking about, that's one thing. If he's talking about the RTJ, that's also, isn't that a 110? Is that the model number for that?
410.
Or am I wrong? Okay, never mind.
And
so
it's called a 410 because it's of the 410s, obviously.
Yeah, so he must be talking
what
about
he's talking about,
these
I'm pretty
surrounds.
sure.
So, and honestly, as far as like, why is everybody talking about it? I don't think a lot of people are talking about JTR because, I mean, they're, hearing about it from me. You've got the AVS forum that's pretty huge that talks about JTR, but so I don't know. I mean, I don't hear a whole lot about people saying JTR 110. So give us a little bit more context and maybe we can go down that as well. Philip says, curious what you guys think about Anthem. Let me stop sharing my screen here.
I mean, Anthem's pretty good. I think it's become more of a player as of late, especially with their newer lines. They're exorbitantly hard to get right now, which I think is a big result of their popularity currently. Anthem and Arc has gotten much better than it was in the past. They're owned by Paradigm, if I remember correctly, but it's just a solid, if you can find one, it's a solid amplifier and or AVR.
We got the naked dude.
Oh no.
See ya, brother. I got him. He's blocked. We had some naked XYZ. Have a good time.
I'm trying to find Jedi Master Grant's theater so I can give more insight into what's going to be there.
So let's do this. So let's go to this fantastic website called the Midwest AV Experience.
I found it.
Boom. You got it?
Yeah. So he's got.
So then we'll go to.
Yeah, it's the S8s.
Is it
S8s? Not the 110s. Yeah, it's the 8-inch models.
So I know I've got a link on. Actually, I think it's under another area, but right here. Where's it at? Grant. So I've got a link right there. So there's his front wall. So he's got JTR back here. He's got subs.
3212s up front, and then he's got orbit shifters for his subs, and then it's the S8s for the surrounds and the heights.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can see them right here. These are the. Oh, there we go. So that made it bigger. So you can see
there's the slants up top, and then he's got I think it may actually be all slants.
Yeah. So there's two more there as far as Atmos.
Yeah, they're all slants.
There's Grant. Super cool dude, man. So it's
a really good room.
2 orbit shifters back here. Slant 8's there. Oh, yeah. But that's a killer room, man. We had a blast there when I did the home theater tour. Cool, man. So let me go back here. So yeah, so Anthem makes a great product. The only Anthem that I've reviewed was the MRX 1140, I think. So this has been 2 or 3 years ago. Solid receiver. I know Dirac has a lot more, like a bigger learning curve than Odyssey does, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. as far as like what you can do and how much you can dial it in. Now with Odyssey coming out with their new, I forget what it's called, where you can hook it up to the computer and do a whole lot more with that. That's a paid product. I think you pay like an extra $200, I think $200-300.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, to get access to that. So I think they're trying to compete with Dirac, but that's the biggest thing. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Anthem has ARC. So it's not even Dirac. They have their own Anthem room correction. I'm sorry. But even that, it still has its own learning curve. It's not as user-friendly as Odyssey, but again, it's a lot more flexible. You got a lot more you can do with it. So a lot of people like ARC, they like Dirac. I tried to get a AV, I think it's the AV70. It's their kind of mid-tier processor. So, but I was talking with them. They were going to send me one. I was on the list, but like you said,
you can't get them though. I can't even become a dealer for them because they don't have supply.
So I don't know what's going on with them. But I think they make a great product. But as far as like, is it solid? Then especially the new processors, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to review that yet. So, Chris, should I go with the Polk R700 or SVS Prime Pinnacles? Good question.
I don't know.
I don't think I've done the Polk. I did a series of Polk. Let me look here. Audio 700s.
I don't have a ton of experience with the SVS speakers.
Yeah. So I haven't heard the Prime Pinnacles. That's their more budget friendly. Actually, okay. So I reviewed the 700s. So that's their largest tower in the Polk Reserve. Honestly, I was very impressed with it. Not a super expensive speaker. So you're talking about $900 each. So it's not like super cheap, but it's not super exorbitant either. So definitely affordable. I really enjoyed them. Now they have a very different sound than SVS. They have a very different sound than Klipsch. So the hard part is trying to tell somebody, hey, this speaker is better than this other speaker. The reality is your ears prefer a certain sound. Ryan's ears may prefer something totally different. Somebody else may prefer something totally different. So I'm really hesitant to tell somebody, oh, yes, the Polks are absolutely better than the Prime Pinnacles. Because if you don't like the sound of the Polk, how is it going to be better? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that's subjective. I just always try to tell people, if you can, go listen to them. Find a place that's got them. Look on their website. See if there's a place you can go demo them. The good thing with SVS, they do have their, I think it's a 90-day return policy. So
something like that.
If you get them in your home and you test them out and you're like, you know what, they're just not working for me, you're probably going to have to pay shipping back, but you at least know, okay, that's not a good fit for my ears, for my room. So at least there's that option. I don't think Polk has anything like that, but I haven't reviewed the Prime Pinnacles. So again, I can't tell you. More than likely the R700s are going to have more bottom end, but that's just a guess. But again, because I think the Prime Pinnacles, they've got a lot of smaller drivers. So, but my personal preference, as far as just looks, the Polks look a lot nicer. Even though it's not like a real wood veneer, I really just like the look and the styling of it. It was pretty slick. So,
no comment from me because I don't really have much experience with either two. I've got some cheap Polk towers down in the basement, but they're just from my parents' house that never got used.
Terminator Juice. I would absolutely love to go, but I decided to put that money into the front wall makeover instead. Dude, that's awesome. I think it's fantastic that you're upgrading.
He did some major work. He just posted a YouTube video about everything not too long ago, if I remember right.
Super cool, man. Absolutely, dude. Make plans to come out and hang out with us next year. We'd love to have you. But let us know in the comments. What'd you get? What'd you upgrade?
He went to Focal.
Very cool. I'd love to get some Focals in for review. Definitely be interested in that. They look really nice. So
can probably make that happen.
All right, sounds cool. Michael, I know a guy, right?
Yeah, maybe some guy.
Michael says it's going to be great seeing and comparing different pieces of equipment. Absolutely, man. And again, this isn't a scientific experiment. But we're going to do the very best that we can to try to make sure that things are level matched and fair and on a fair playing field.
I do want to point out that we're going to get things wrong. Like it's
We have,
going to
yeah,
happen.
we,
I've done
here's
it
the
in the
reality though.
past. I mean, look at what happened at the projector shootout, right?
Yeah.
It's things are going to happen. It's a reality of how things work.
But
And
I think here's the key though. We're willing to say we screwed up or we
oh
forgot to
yeah,
do this. We have no agenda. It's not like we're wanting to make sure that Sony projectors outperform the JVC. Honestly, I could care who. There's no winner. We're not handing out trophies. I
mm-hmm.
mean, the reality, we just want to give you some opportunities to put these things side by side. And what do you see? What do you hear? What did you experience? But yeah, I mean, but again, we're going to live and learn. There was one guy, I think it was one of the vendors. He said, guys, I'm really excited about what you're doing. I mean, this is definitely something unique, something that's pretty creative. And I'm excited and we're ready to get behind you. But just know going in, you're going to have some bumps and bruises from this year. And so we're going in it just knowing that. And I'm okay with that. Again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And, I'm sure when Amazon first started out, man, that was a hot mess right there. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
They eventually got their stuff together.
I don't think it's going to be a hot mess.
Yeah.
We're going to mess things
Right.
up because this is new. It's a new endeavor for both of us and for everybody involved. So I'm just glad that people have come on board and said, hey, we're with you.
I think
Let's
they
see where this
believe.
goes.
I think the thing is they believe in the vision. You know what I'm saying? They believe in kind of like what we're trying to accomplish and what we hope to accomplish.
Or they can't look away from the train wreck.
No, that is not it. That is not it. But yeah, man, it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to meeting you, Michael, at MWAVE. Excited that you're able to make it this year. Mike Ortiz says, does subwoofer size matter, say between a 12 or 15, if they're powered by the same PA amp? So he's running a passive subwoofer, 12-inch passive. So he's got an amplifier powering it separately. I'm curious about room pressurization.
There's a lot going on in that question. So there's a lot of variables that are playing in there because not all drivers are made equal, right?
True.
You could have
let's say, just for sake of argument, let's say they're
both really good.
Same brand and kind of the same series.
All right. Let's say they're both really good. They're both phenomenal drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're not really worried about the driver. The driver's as good as you can make it. Mm-hmm. There's definitely going to be a difference because the 15 has larger surface area. It's able to move more air. That's at the end of the day, that is the end all be all. The 15-inch driver is going to have an easier time, alibi with more power, pressurizing your room.
Yeah.
Right. You get a small baby driver in there, it can pressurize the room. You're just going to need a lot of them. I mean, that's what's going to come. It's going to come down to, and even then, you're going to run into some issues at lower frequencies because it's just not going to be able to dig that low. So bigger drivers are definitely beneficial. Now, you want to make sure that you're getting quality drivers, right? And you want to make sure that you're feeding those drivers enough power and that the cabinet is adequately sized and appropriately sized for that particular driver, right? I mean, if you look at take the JTR 4000 ULF, I mean, there's a reason the cabinet is that big because it needs to be that big for the output that it's putting out at the low frequencies that it's doing. So there's a lot that goes into that question, but generally big drivers and more power are going to have a much better time with room pressurization.
Yeah. So just from personal experience, so I started off with an old school Velodyne 10-inch subwoofer and I loved it. It was clean. I mean, if you cranked it too hard, it was only a 10-inch with a 100-watt amplifier. So, but again, this is
You've
probably
talked about this sub a couple times.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was good for what it was. It was probably, I don't know what I got it for cost when I was working at Circuit City.
Yep.
But probably retail, I mean, it might have been like a $500 subwoofer. And so it was good for what it was. And I had an opportunity to buy a used Velodyne F1500. So that's a 15-inch sub from a 10-inch, and it had twice the power. It had a 250-watt amplifier. So I bought that, and I'm telling you guys, no lie, I was like, holy cow. That was a massive difference in my room. And what Ryan's talking about, that tactile bass, being able to feel the bass in my room. And I was sold on 15s. And so to this day, I've never owned anything smaller than a 15. I had a Velodyne F1500. Then later on, I upgraded to a
Once you
Velodyne.
feel it big, Michael, it's
It's
difficult to go
crazy.
down.
I had a Velodyne HGS 15, which was a more powerful 15-inch. Had a nicer finish, piano black. That had a 1250 watt continuous amplifier in it. So that was a beast. So I liked it so much. I found another Youthman deal, bought a second one. Then later on, I bought a Klipsch RSW15, and that had two 15s in it, a passive in the front and an active in the back. So one was being powered by the amplifier. The other one was being pushed, kind of like a push-pull, if I can do it right, something similar to that. The other driver is what's actually moving that passive one. And that actually performed, I think it performed better than both of my HGS 15. So I sold them. I ended up buying a second RSW 15, a third RSW 15, a fourth RSW 15. And then it wasn't until I began to hear Power Sound Audio and JTR that had the 18s. And I'm like, yeah. And so is it an addiction? Maybe. But what I can tell you is that like Ryan said, the larger drivers are going to move more air in your room, which is going to pressurize your room more. With a smaller sub, you hear the bass, you just don't feel the bass, you know? Again, I'm just trying to share like personal experience. I had a gentleman come over today to demo my system for the first time. Had a gentleman come over like 2 days ago to demo. Both of them had two comments that were the exact the same. As soon as they walk in my room, they're like, man, your room is much bigger in your videos, you know, because I use like a wide angle lens. So my room isn't really big. But the second thing that both of them shared, and they both asked me, they're like, do you have like bass shakers or tactile transducers in your seats? And I went, no. All I have is 418s. And so the 418s have enough air pressure movement that it's causing the physical frame of my seats to vibrate. And you feel it in your legs, you feel it in your chest, you feel it in your body. You just simply can't get that with a smaller driver. Like Ryan said, if you had enough of those smaller drivers, sure, you're going to be able to pressurize that room. But really, it's all about displacement. You have to displace the air to really pressurize your room. So I'm a big fan when it comes to home theater, 15-inch, 18-inch. Some guys go to 21, 24. But yeah, I like 15s. I'll be honest with you. So I think there's definitely a significant difference in a 12 and a 15
now,
inch.
I do want to point out, I've seen a couple comments talk about tower speakers and stuff being able to dig down to, I saw some JBLs at 37 hertz and some Polks down to 14.
14?
Yeah, those statistics are kind of misleading. Like, you could technically measure those low frequencies on small drivers, right? On very small drivers. Those frequencies are there measurably.
At what output?
But it's the output of what those are going to be. So like when you see something, like I'm looking at a speaker right now and it says a total frequency response of 18 hertz to 27,000 hertz. The speaker will respond to that frequency.
Yeah.
And it'll create it'll create sound wave at that frequency. But it's at what level is that, or what output is that going to be present? So just because it says that, and even taking that a step further, there are a lot of manufacturers that grossly embellish those statistics for how many decibels a particular speaker or driver is going to be able to produce. And that doesn't even take into consideration if it's able to do it without distortion.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want people to be very careful that just because you see something that says something, it's always very important to get that verified. And that's why like Audioholics is really important with all of the measurements that they do, and Database when they were still doing stuff while they were very important, because those were independently measured, right?
Sure.
You're not worried or relying on the manufacturer and their stated measurements as gospel. You're able to get a second hand and get that verified. So I just want to make sure that
That's funny.
everybody takes that into consideration. So you're not thinking a normal tower speaker is able to keep up with like a RS2 or something like that.
So Chris just texted me. He said, slight correction, 18 hertz. So
Chris, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. It was just a little.
Yeah. So
anecdote.
This is pretty average here, you know, like 30, you know.
But that doesn't mean that you'd want your crossover or something set at 38 hertz.
Correct. No.
That just means that that speaker is able to produce sound at that frequency, right? As far as I understand it. Yeah. So that's totally normal. Like my Martin Logan 15A Renaissance, the ones that are back behind me, right? Those have two 12-inch drivers in them for towers, which most people aren't going to have 12-inch subs in their drivers, let alone two of them. And I cross those over at just under 70 hertz to my subs. So just because your speaker can do it, like my speakers can go down lower, but the subs are much more capable of being able to do that without distortion.
Yeah. Yeah. So there, and it's funny, somebody, I think on my comments, it may have been Chris that mentioned it, but they said something about, you know, using towers as, you know, full range speakers, and they really like that. And I'm like, yeah, the only problem is
double bass.
Towers don't really go down below 20 hertz. And I got corrected.
You can.
Typically they don't.
Yeah.
Usually they're in the
ones in my
20s.
garage definitely can, but
yeah. So he sent me a link to, he's like, RTJ baby. Or I mean, that was the JTR, the RT 15s. So is that right?
Yeah, I think that's
the model
maybe
number?
it's not the RT fit. It's something like that. 215.
Yeah, 215.
I think it's the 215.
Yeah,
those can for sure. And the RTJ 410s with quads, definitely. But it's more of, you need to think of those speakers like you have a center, what you would typically think of as like a tower, and then you're effectively stacking your subs on top of it. I'm not saying that that's just an easier way to think about it. They're putting it all into one tower, which is awesome. But it's just an easier way for a lot of people to think about it. We were both wrong. It's the Sokka said it's the 215 RT. So
that's right. All right, cool. Well, you work for him, so you should be able to quote the right number. I'm trying to multitask. I'm doing comments. I'm doing answering questions, and I'm trying to remember model numbers. So Chris mentions that, you know, even though his go down really low, he's still running his crossovers like 60 and 80 hertz, which is pretty normal. So yeah, man. So cool stuff. So definitely appreciate that. So here's a good question about MWAVE. Will the show be at the same place next year? Great question. The biggest answer is no. Well, not no. We don't know. That's the answer. I originally wanted to be able to, like, at MWAVE, to be able to say, hey guys, hope you come out next year. Here's the dates. Here's the times. You can go ahead and be planning on it. Put it on your calendar. But the reality is we don't even know how this venue is going to work out for our application. You know, this was honestly one of the lower expensive. I mean, there were some that looked awesome. I'm like, Ryan, that looks legit, baby. That's like crazy awesome. But it was like, holy crap. It's like
$20,000.
Yeah, it's like 4 times the amount or something. I'm like, okay, yeah.
There's some things that I'd like to try and do if we can say that this is successful. Like, I'd like to go to the Kauffman Center, right? Kauffman Center is like it's the Kansas City auditorium where the Kansas City Symphony plays, where like if you're going to have a symphony in Kansas City, that's where it's at. So there's other things that we'd like to do, but the Lead Center, I think, is a fantastic place for it this year. Yeah. But I think Michael brings up a good point. We just don't know. We're going to have to see how this one goes. And then we can make determinations after that. Hopefully we'll be able to find a home. And then we can just say, hey, we're going to be back next year. And then we'll do it every year and keep going from there.
Yeah. So again, we just got a lot of unknowns on this. We won't know till we do it. And then we'll evaluate and see, okay, did it work out well? Did it not work out well? Is there another venue that would be better suited for this? Because here's the reality. One thing that we know about this venue, it works out fine for this year, but what happens, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, we have 20 vendors, would it be nice to give them their own little space? Yeah. Like their own, what if they wanted their own little room to set up a really Mac Daddy, setup? Like I know I've already talked to Arendelle. They told me, they said, look, we want to be a premier sponsor next year. They said, we're coming out with some really cool stuff and we would love to be able to bring like all of our stuff and showcase it and get that out to the world. And so, you know, if we have things like that, is this venue going to be able to accommodate that? And so we just, again, we don't know until we do the first run, and then
we don't know until we don't know.
Yeah. Yep. So along the same lines, will this be streamed? So initially I really, and I still want to, I wanted to really cover this thing, do live streaming. But here's the thing. Number one, this is year number 1. I have no idea what role I'm going to need to be at the event. And so it's going to be difficult for me to say, okay, I'm going to be streaming from this hour to this hour. We may be, like Ryan said, we may be running into some issues and I may need to be physically doing that. And I don't want to have committed to 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. or 6 to 8 on this particular day. And we're running over. So this year I'm like, you know what, let's keep it simple. Less is more. And I've told Ryan from the beginning, I would rather have less people, less vendors, less everything. And let's do this right and figure this thing out than have 2,000 people show up. It'd be a royal hot mess, chaotic, unorganized. I don't want that. I want to make an event that you guys come to and go, dude, that was so much fun. Yeah, there were some things that, you know, that need to be tweaked, but we see the vision. We see the value that this brings to the home theater community, to the AV community, to the 2-channel community. And we want to get behind and support this. And we know that it's going to be even better next year. And that's our commitment. We're just going to try to make this better every single year. So this year I may do some live streaming, but it'll be kind of impromptu. I may literally just jump on my phone. I'll be at Ryan's house and I may do some live stream, let some people say hi and walk around the space. You can kind of see what it looks like. We don't know Wi-Fi situation at the lead center. You know, how far can I walk before I lose that signal? And I had looked at purchasing it's like a $500 system you rent. But again, I just kept going back to it. I'm thinking, man, that's one more thing we have to figure out tech wise.
I think once we go through it 1 year, we're going to know exactly what we can do.
I think we'll have a better understanding of how this is going to flow and schedule wise and just a lot of things. So, but to answer your question, probably not this year as far as definitely not streaming the whole thing. So, but there may be
super chat.
Oh, awesome. Oh, there we go. Spillage Village. Appreciate this $10 super chat. Missouri is a great place to host events, has a vibrant AV community. That is for sure, man. Kansas, both Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas, dude, they're on a whole new level. We don't have that stuff down here for the most part in Florida. He's in STL. What's STL?
St. Louis.
Okay. St. Louis. But shout out to Kansas City. Have to make the drive next year when not on busy travel. Man, we'd love to have you next year. I bet Ryan's system sounds insane in person. And it does, man. He's got a really, really dope system. You really don't see many people using a full electrostat system
it's different,
especially a home theater. So it's cool, man. So we're super pumped about that. Chris says, Youth Man, what good old Kansas City barbecue are you looking forward to the most? Here's the thing. I don't have a preference because I don't know. I think I've been to 2 different places, but I don't even remember what they were exactly. They're both good. Thoroughly enjoyed them. We're going to go to Jack Stack, I think, on Saturday night.
Saturday. And then we're having Blemmers on Sunday.
Okay.
And we may... We're gonna have a lot of barbecue, and we may have barbecue at Jonathan's. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Still trying to plan that out.
Okay. All right. So, but I don't really have a preference because I don't have enough experience on Kansas City. So I'm referring to the locals on what's going to be good. Brian says, "Hey guys, should I go Martin Logan Motion 60 XTI or KEF R7s?" So you probably have more experience with Martin Logan. I have reviewed the 60 XTIs with the matchings. I loved them. That was one of the first times it might have been the first time that I had reviewed a speaker that had an AMT tweeter. And man, there's just so much detail in that. It was super, super detailed, but it wasn't bright. So
they are a little bright. But they're
like
not
clips.
As bright, not clips, but they are a little bright, and you can see that in the measurements. So here's what I would say about that. KEF, is probably going to measure a bit flatter. Like that's just what's going to happen. That'd be my guess. That's typically what happens with Kef. Kef is a very neutral manufacturer.
Gotcha.
From my understanding. I don't have a lot of experience with Kef. I do carry Kef, but I don't have a lot of experience with them. Martin Logan, especially when you get into their XT tweeter, the XT tweeter, it's a characteristic sound. I mean, it's a little bit bright. That's just how they are. The ribbon tweeter is very good with transients. Like you can hear a lot of detail with it. That could be because they're a little bright. You may be getting that subjectivity. You may be perceiving a little bit more detail. But a characteristic of the XT tweeter. So Martin Logan with their normal dynamic speakers. You've got the Motion series, and then you've got the Motion XT series, or the XTI. The Motion series uses a smaller folded motion ribbon tweeter, okay? And it has a dispersion of 80-80. So 80 in the horizontal, 80 in the vertical. The XTI, or the XT tweeter, has a bigger surface area tweeter, and then it has a dispersion of 80 in the horizontal and only 30 in the vertical. So what they're doing is they're trying to move, as you move up the price spectrum, they're trying to remove as much of the room reflection as possible and move more towards the dispersion of what you see from their line sources. Like their electrostatics. The electrostatics are 30-0, right? Because they're 30-degree horizontal and 0 in the vertical. So it's very much about trying to remove room reflections with limited dispersion. Now, Michael, you talked a little bit about earlier Jonathan's room with those JBLs and having the same sound everywhere in the room.
Yeah.
That is very much a characteristic of huge dispersion from those JBLs, which I think is like 150 degrees. So think about that, in that if you go to something with a much more limited dispersion, not that the motion really is, because it's still 80 in the horizontal, but when you start getting behind it or above it, the sound signature is definitely going to change. And it's not going to be as forgiving, I guess, on placement because of that, right?
Gotcha.
Because it's more limited dispersion. I personally love Martin Logan, hence my theater. I carry both, so if you're interested in either one of them, feel free to shoot me a message. But it's very dependent on you. They're both phenomenal speakers.
Yeah, Kef looks gorgeous, but then again, the finish on, what was it? Is it mahogany? It's basically like the red Martin Logan.
Oh yeah, Martin Logan's finish is gorgeous.
I'm about melted. I'm like, it looks nice. Like super nice. But Kef has a very modern appeal to it, which is really slick. Depends on your room decor and kind of what you're looking for.
Well, Drew real quick says, I don't particularly like that Martin Logan's are 4 ohm. Man, Martin Logan's, my electrostats will dip down to under half an ohm. So it gets even worse than that. They push your amps to the limit.
Sure.
For sure.
Good question here. Winston says, what's the best criteria to define a great set of LCRs behind the screen? Towers, in walls, on walls, max power, 4 ohm, 8 ohm sensitivity. What are the most important factors to consider? To me, I would try to find, number one, a company that really, they almost design their speakers to be in that situation. You know what I mean? One thing is, if you put towers back there, like in my setup, I couldn't put anybody's towers back there. It'd sound horrible because it's going to put the tweeter way, way, way too high, because I have kind of like a stage that's a few feet off the ground. So that's why I went with an MTM kind of configuration, where you've got a big driver, tweeter and mid-range in the middle, and then a big driver on the bottom. I don't think 4 ohm, 8 ohm, that's not going to change your sound. It changes how much like power you can get out of your amplifier. You know, if you're running 4 ohm speakers with an AVR and you got 11 speakers, good luck. I think that thing's going to struggle really bad. But if you've got sufficient power, they may sing. So I don't know if there's really any particular like,
I would say on towers, in wall and on wall, your best bet is towers, because it has a dedicated cabinet for resonance built for that particular speaker. In walls, you're relying on the wall cavity for the cabinet, and on wall, I guess on wall could work because it's still a cabinet. It's probably going to be more restrictive and going to be smaller.
Yeah.
Right. That's really what it's going to come down to.
I mean, max
Towers.
power, that depends on how loud you listen to it. Sensitivity, good thing about sensitivity, if you have a speaker that has a higher sensitivity, it's going to be easier to drive. So if you're only able to run an AVR, it's going to power that system. Like I've run 11 speakers off of a Denon 6400. I've run it off an SR8015 and an SR8012 from Marantz. So, and both of those sounded phenomenal. But if
I
I
like
had
that.
but if I had less efficient speakers, if I had speakers that were like 80 dB, if I had 4 ohm speakers, and that's going to change that dynamic. It's going to be harder to drive. So again, I don't
That's a good
know
point.
if there's a right or wrong. I'm with you on towers. I'm not a big fan of in walls. My thought is that's kind of like last resort. If you just don't have the space, like I had a gentleman that he put in walls in a 12 by 12 bedroom, and he has a 120-inch screen. It was amazing. But he went with triad speakers in wall because he just doesn't have the room to put towers, and it sounds really, really good. So if your space isn't super limited, I would definitely go with a tower. But as far as like, what's more important, whether it's a tower in wall or on wall or max power, again, I think those are just find the speaker that you love the sound of, and then figure out, okay, can I fit those in my room? Or do I need to buy a new house? I mean, that's easy, right?
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Yeah. JJ, will you be sending selling MWAVE tickets at the door? So, all right. So here's the thing. So everything right now, we don't have a cat or a square. Everything's done online. So if you showed up and you paid a ticket, absolutely, you can come. I'm going to have lanyards. Like I'm printing these up here at my house. Well, technically I'm not printing them here, but I'm designing them. I got to put everybody's name on them. I got to take them down to Staples, have them printed. So once I jump on a flight, that's done. Whoever hasn't registered by the time I leave, which is Tuesday night, they won't have a printed lanyard, but I'm going to have some extra ones printed with a blank spot here so that you can like kind of marker your name on there. So we can still have that. You can still get access to it. But as far as like tickets at the door, at least this year, again, we don't have that ability. If you show up, we'll just send you to online and you can purchase it there. But yeah, we'll let you in the door. Absolutely. No problem. But we'd love to have you come if you can make it. Michael. So I'm looking at either JBL 3800s or the Power Sound Audio MTM 210 towers. I'm trying to decide between the two. The JBLs get down to 37 hertz, while the Power Sound Audio MTM 210 towers.
I wouldn't really pay too much attention to that
frequency. If you got quality subwoofers,
number,
that shouldn't matter.
Nope, it won't. And I think the PSA number is going to be more realistic at 60 hertz than the JBLs. The JBLs don't have drivers large enough to be able to do any reasonable output at 37 hertz without distortion.
JBL 3800. Okay, so it's a tower speaker. It's got 3 drivers in it. That looks really fun. Oh, no. I see it. It's called HDI 3800. I'll pull it up here just so you can see it. I'm not familiar with that model, so I would literally only be guessing just by looking at
Audio Hall. Excuse me, did a review on it. I'm trying to find the.
It's about $2,000 a piece.
Does he have measurements?
Looking down here, so those go down to 37 hertz. So yeah, they're sensitive, pretty sensitive. They're at 92 dB.
Yeah, it starts to drop off at 60, and at 37 hertz. I mean, it's 8-9 decibels down. So
yeah, to me, I try not to get caught up too much in specs. I mean, I know specs matter, but my biggest thing is if you're able to, man, try to find a set of those 3800s and see if you like how they sound.
That's the biggest thing. You got to go listen to this stuff.
See if you can find a pair. Now, that's going to be harder with Power Sound Audio because they're kind of like JTR. They're more of a niche kind of product. And so they're probably going to be harder to find, especially that particular model. But maybe ask around in like Facebook groups if anybody near you's got a Power Sound Audio system that you can go hear. At least you can kind of hear what their general sound, or maybe you've already heard them. If you've already heard them, then let your ears be the judge on that. I wouldn't get caught up in one going down to 37. Now, if you only like, if let's say your significant other said, absolutely not, you can't have a subwoofer in this system, I'd be looking at probably the JBLs, because
Yeah.
they dig down lower. Because 60 hertz, it's going to be pretty underwhelming, especially if you're watching
I'd
movies.
imagine the PSAs, they probably get under 60 hertz. That's just where he's
Yeah.
probably saying they're flatter. That would be my guess.
So, but yeah, I don't know if there's really a right or wrong answer on that one.
No, you got to listen to him.
Chris, participant awards only. Mike, for my question about, okay, so he's thinking about doing DIY dual subs. Okay, super cool. So if you can go DIY again, I mean, if that was in response to the 12 to 15, was that the question?
I don't remember.
Or was that a different one?
I would imagine so. That would be my guess. If
that
that's the case, then yeah, you're going to want a large, the bigger the driver that you can get. Not, I wouldn't say the bigger the driver you can get, because you can get some ludicrous drivers, but
I just really like 15s, man. 15s, 18s. Dude, that's a
even
sweet spot.
21s.
Yeah.
If you got the space.
Sure. But like I said, I've only reviewed a couple of, I've reviewed some 12-inch subwoofers, and they're nice, but I just don't get that slam like I get in a lot of the 15s that I've reviewed. So my vote, go 15, man. Go big or go home. That's what my son always
Super
says.
chat.
Gotham, appreciate it, man. $2 super chat per listen or Focal for home theater. Man, that's like number one, there's probably a huge price difference there.
I mean, Focal's got a larger
Oh, that's right. They
spectrum.
got the higher end stuff. Yeah.
They've got their higher end stuff. I'm going to say per listen on that one, because per listen takes such an objective approach on everything, and they measure really well. They've got huge amounts of volume. I really like that they're more limited dispersion. They're more akin to a line source.
The vertical, right?
I think they also limit the horizontal. I want to say they're like 45 degrees or something like that. I think.
But I remember when I did the home theater tour, Dan was sharing how that was one thing that they really did. They limited the vertical because that way you're not getting as much interaction with the ceiling and maybe even your
It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So I would say per listen. Again, it's another one of those things where our past gentleman with Martin, Logan, and Kef, I sell both. I've got access to both. So if you have interest in either one, I'm happy to help you out, and we can work something out to, save you some money against anyone else in the industry. But I really like per listen. I love my S7Ts that I've got, and Focal's great
too, right?
Sorry,
you have the bookshelves too. I think.
Yeah, I've got the R4Bs.
So we're bringing those to MWAVE as well. So
we can. Yep.
Or I thought you were bringing at least the towers, right?
The S7Ts are definitely going.
Okay. So here's the deal, dude. Get on a plane, get on a bus, whatever you got to do. Get to MWAVE. Come here the per listens. We won't have Focal though. So
no,
I tried. I asked him. I said, "Hey man, we'd love to have you out here."
So, I tried too.
Yeah, great question though. So again, a lot of it's going to be preference. Focal is going to sound different than per listen. So you just gotta, if at all possible, go listen to them, figure out what your ears like the best, and go for there. Okay, so we did that one. Uncheck that. Cool. Tim says, can't wait for MWAVE. Tim's going to be there with his wife, Darla. Super excited for Tim. Tim actually picked me up at the airport the last time I came to. Oh, I know what it was. I went to do the per listen, like their tour at per listen headquarters. And then we went and did a per listen home theater tour. So Tim picked me up at the airport. Tim's a super dude. He's going to be helping us out with some stuff. And definitely grateful for him. Can't wait for MWAVE, just meeting people with the same or maybe even more passion for home theater. Dude, that's what it's all about, man. I think that's really what's going to separate MWAVE from other shows per se, is that I really want to focus on relationships, man, building friendships. That's been the coolest thing with this whole YouTube thing, is getting to know you guys. One thing I'm even doing on with my patrons is I'm actually doing weekly and monthly Zooms. And the biggest reason is I want to get to know you guys. I want to answer your questions live in a video chat like this. And so I've started doing that. And so I really value relationships. And I think that's going to trump gear any day.
Oh, relationships are the end all be all.
I can have cool gear, but what if I'm just sitting in there by myself and I don't have anybody to share it with? the gentleman that called me today said, the main reason why I'm coming to MWAVE is because I want to get to know exactly what Tim was talking about. I want to meet some other cool guys that are into this stuff, because he said nobody in my area, man, is into this. None of my friends, none of my family members. And so he's wanting to meet some people, get their contacts, stay in touch with them. I just think that's cool. So Tim, looking forward to you and Darla. Hope her surgery went well. I know I talked to you. She had some.
We have another
surgery.
super chat from Gotham.
Cool, Gotham. Appreciate that. Where are you? I can come for a per-listen demo. So we're going to be in Lawrence, Kansas. Easiest way, if you head over to MidwestAVExperience.com, all the information is there. The address is there to the lead center. Schedules on there. So just take a look at that, MidwestAVExperience.com. If you're able to make it, man, we'd love to have you join us. It's going to be a blast. What's that?
I'll say that I'm also open to having, even if you can't make it to MWAVE and you're from out of town, I host people pretty frequently. So if you want or need a place to stay and you want to demo stuff, I'm happy to host you. And then taking that a step further, anybody in Kansas City that ever wants to demo, man, my door is always open. All you need to do is give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, say, hey, I want to go through a demo. I just want to talk home theater. I need some advice. Can you come look at my space? There's never, I know I'm a dealer, but there's never a requirement to buy anything. It's all about relationships, bringing people into the hobby and into the space, and just try to make everybody's journey as good as we can make it.
Yeah. Have a blast.
This is all about.
I mean, here's the reality. I mean, it's like Ryan does this for like part of his income. It's not his main income, but it's part of his income. But he does it because he's passionate about this. I mean, we wouldn't be putting on a stinking event, if he didn't love this. I mean, so that's the cool thing. I love Ryan's heart, and that's why I've been willing to partner with him and say, let's try to make this thing happen. Let's do this MWAVE. And if you guys are interested in anything AV wise, receivers, speakers, whatever, shoot Ryan an email. And if he's got access to that, then he can get you pricing and availability. So we'll grab a couple more questions here. HS says, hello, I have a small room wanting to daisy chain 3 subwoofers, S4 towers.
I don't know what he means by daisy chain.
Okay, so daisy chaining subwoofers. So I've talked about this on my channel.
Well, I know the daisy chaining the subwoofers, but then he goes into 4 towers. Oh, he's saying he has S4 towers and bookshelves. Is that what he's saying?
I mean, what are S4 towers?
I think they're polk towers. Like S4 is a polk tower.
I got you.
I think.
Okay. And then two bookshelves. Okay. So if you, I mean, I'm not sure what your question is, but if you want a daisy chain 3 subwoofers, nothing wrong with that. It's basically where you come RCA out of your AVR or your processor, go into the first one. And then if your subwoofers have a line out, you come out of that, go into the next one. So yeah, that'd be no problem to do. You can use Y split. Actually, I got a video was it yesterday that I did talking about that very thing. So in some different ways. And I even linked to a video that talks about how you can hook up multiple subwoofers. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but there's nothing wrong with daisy chaining because you've got internal amplifiers in your subwoofers. So all you're doing is sending them the signal. Zachary, were you going to say something, Ryan?
Well, there's a super chat, then we can go back to Zachary.
Chris, he says, just remembered Hot Wheels expansion comes out this weekend for Forza Horizon 5. Can we reschedule? Ain't happening, brother. Now you can bring your, what is that? Is that on PS5?
That's Xbox.
Okay. Bring your Xbox, man. We'll hook it up to one of them big 150-inch screens. And we're going to have a blast. Okay. So cool deal.
And then another super chat.
Gotham got lots of questions, man. Appreciate it. I'm going to see Eclipse next week. Can't wait.
I think that's a Christie Eclipse.
Oh, gotcha. I thought it was like a movie or something. Okay. Yeah. So the Christie Eclipse, dude, you're talking what? 500 grand, 250, 500.
Are you going to see like Nigel, Allen?
That's awesome.
Or any of those guys? I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow. They're great. Yeah.
So they're local to me, semi-local. They're down in St. Pete or Sarasota. I can't remember. But I actually made a trip down there. I didn't film down there because they were still building out their showroom. But I've been in contact with Nigel. He's actually contracting with me to do some work for him and cover his booth at CDO. So in September, I'll be covering their Christie. They'll have the Eclipse there. They may have the I don't know if they're going to have the Griffin there, like the AS that I had a chance to see. I've got a video on the channel on that, but super nice dudes, man. And talking about knowledgeable, holy cow. I'd say probably at least 85% of what he was talking about was way up here, buddy. I mean, he knows his stuff, but it's way beyond my expertise. But dude, that's gonna be exciting. Let me know how you like the Eclipse. Just better bring your checkbook, man, because it is expensive, but it's awesome. It's literally the best projector I've ever seen. And I didn't see the Eclipse. I saw it was like an $80,000 Griffin AS. So it was like a modified version of the Griffin, so that they made just for Nigel. And so Zachary says towers with the best bass in the world still don't allow you to place bass drivers optimally in the room. Just another thing to consider.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So with subwoofers, you've got the flexibility of moving them around your room, putting them in the rears, combining them, maybe one in the front corner, one in the back corner kind of thing. So sure, that's definitely something to consider. Great thought there. Do that. Boom. A couple more questions here. So I'll have to do in-wall speakers. Any suggestions under 1,000 per speaker? I don't have a whole lot of experience with in-walls. It's hard for me to review in-walls because I'm not cutting holes in my drywall, and so that makes it really tough. I would check out Aaron's Audio Corner. Aaron has been doing some reviews on in-walls, and he's building a kind of like a baffle that he can measure it with the Klippel. So his is very objective measurements and how well do these measure. But as far as like actual, I mean, I just don't have any recommendations because I typically don't shop for in-wall speakers, and I don't review any because of the nature of what you have to do to review them.
I'd say Kef, Triad would be the two that I would look at for in-walls.
Yeah.
Taking it another step further, no, that's where I would leave it. Kef and Triad would be my two.
Especially $1,000 per speaker. So, but yeah, and Triad has like 3 levels or 3 or 4 different levels, like tiers.
Bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Yeah, and they have different levels inside of some slightly different speakers inside of each. So, Kef's going to have a bunch of different offerings too. You're going to be able to find something at under 1K for sure. Gotcha. If you need help locating something or need to pick up something, feel free to let me know.
Cool, man. Let's see. Johnny says, good evening, guys. Keep up the good work. Always enjoy your show. Appreciate that, man. Question for Ryan. Do you know if there is a JTR dealer in Houston, Texas? I'd like to hear before I invest. Thanks again, Youth Man and Ryan. Appreciate you, brother. JTR dealers.
There are no JTR dealers with the exception of Michael Boker.
So there's RTJ.
There's RTJ. So, and even then, you're going to be really limited on where you're going to be able to hear them. I mean, honestly, one of the best places to be able to hear them, if you can message something on the AVS forum for any of the guys. There's several guys here that have JTR, and then I don't know how long they're going to stick around after the show. I have the RTJ 410s that you're more than welcome to demo. But
I thought Tony said you get to keep those. Right, Tony? Nah,
maybe they'll forget about them.
Yeah, sure. $40,000 pair of speakers. So yeah, I don't think they'll be forgetting about that. Tony might not have a job if he doesn't come back home with those. So, but yeah, Johnny, I know that, or I think I know Dream Media, I think is a dealer for RTJ.
They are.
I don't know if they carry any GTR or have ability.
They don't have a showroom with them. Kellen just did. Kellen's all Kef. No, he's Focal. He's Focal. The Utopias and the 1000s.
Yeah, he's.
So I don't think they have a way to do it. And RTJ's so new that nobody really has them. I have them here for the time being. Michael Boker up in Nebraska has them, but they're very limited as far as where you're going to be able to see them. So if you can make a trip, I'm happy to put you up. It's just getting you here that's going to be the thing.
And again, Johnny, it's kind of one of those things. Just maybe trying to find somebody that's local in your area that might have some. It may not be a dealer, but they may have a set of them, or they may have a home theater. I know Jessica thinks I'm crazy because I let random strangers sometimes come to my home.
I do too. My wife just rolls her eyes now.
I know it's crazy, but it's what we do, man. We love this
I love
stuff.
sharing it.
It's
Love
so much
sharing
fun.
it.
I mean, I don't charge admission at the door, it's like, but you enjoy doing that. So
Gotham dropped
um,
another super chat.
Gotham, appreciate it, brother. Per-listen demo is in MWAVE, question mark. Don't see per-listen listed on the website. So these are Ryan's personal, he owns the per-listen. Per-listen aren't there at the event as far as the owners of the company. And so I'm in contact with all of them, with Dan and with Eric and with Lars. So they're not attending the event, but Ryan is wanting to bring his R or S7s.
S7Ts and the R4Bs. So the S7Ts are the top that
Yeah.
Per-listen offers, and they are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really good speakers.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to them, stop over in Kansas City, man. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
I promise.
If you're looking at purchasing some of those, it would be worth just find a cheap flight, or especially if you're kind of local, if you can drive.
He's in Seattle.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't see that. But it may very well be worth a flight.
Well, then you're able to compare, like if you're able to compare it to the RTJ 410s with quads, you're able to compare it to the Neoliths and find out what the electrostatics are all about. You're able to compare it to the professional level JBL stuff, and you're not going to be able to really do that any other place. And the thing that you're going to run into a lot of times is you're going to listen to one thing, and this is the same thing goes back to Joe out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to listen to one thing, and you're going to think it's either amazing or it's not very good.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go, hopefully a day, but more than likely a week or two or a month, and then listen to something else. And it's next to impossible to make an objective comparison between those two. Mm-hmm. It's not very difficult to do it when they're a second apart. And people are going to realize that when we do this at MWAVE, people are going to be like, it's still really hard to be able to make a comparison because human auditory memory is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So I really encourage you to come out. If you can make it happen, it's worth it. If you really need someplace to put you up, if you're really interested in the per-listens and stuff, I'm happy to put you up. But I think it's worth it. Even if it's not during MWAVE. I mean, I've got the Martin Logan stuff, the RTJ stuff here for a while, and then the per-listens. I think it's nice to be able to do it objectively back to back to back.
Sure. Got a good question here. So Yusum Day says, I have 4 PB 2000 Pros. I've tried to calibrate all 4 with an Anthem AVM 70 to get that chest banging experience. No luck. What do you guys suggest? And Junior nailed it. It's really difficult to dial in subwoofers with just room correction. So my recommendation is a 2x4 HD.
Are you increasing your gain after you run calibration?
Good question.
Or if possible, are you increasing the target curves before calibration? But a lot of times, like an Odyssey, it was a problem. It may be a problem in ARC, where if you run a calibration, it has a tendency to calibrate your subs way too low. Yeah, you need to boost that frequency. Like mine in my room, and Jayhawk Home Theater was here at my house last night picking up some transducers. Mm-hmm. You got to turn that up. And mine's like 15 hot right now. And if you don't turn that up, it's all mids and highs. Your subs they're just overwhelmed by the other frequencies. So,
speaking of Jayhawk, appreciate the $2 super chat. Kansas City barbecue is still the best. So there's a lot of good barbecue out there in Kansas City.
Depends on what you like. I like the sweet sauce that Kansas City has.
I enjoyed it, man. It was super good. Excited about it. It's going to be fun, man. It's going down in just a couple of days.
Jedi, this is, I think, the last question we'll take. Jedi asks, JTR RS2 versus the Captivator 4K, major audible difference would be very similar. I think mids is probably pretty similar. The Captivator has a tremendous output in the mids, like 130 some dB. The difference is going to be the output that the Captivator is going to be able to give you down low. I want to say it has a lot more output lower than the RS2 does.
Because I just asked Tony that the other day because somebody was asking on my channel, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and look.
I don't think the RS2 can do 110 dB at 10 hertz.
I'm
or
doing
105 on
well,
one.
all right, let's see. Let's find out. Let me go to theater. Let's go to right here. All right, so this was compression test that I did. Well, maybe we'll wrap up with this. Share. All right, so this is in my room. So of course your room could be different. This is what I was measuring in my room. Window. Oh, here we go. Should be that right there. Okay. So these are measurements in my room. So this is with the RS2 JTR Captivator RS2s, a pair of them. So what were you asking? You don't think it can hit what?
It can hit it. My point was that the the Captivator has more output at the lower frequencies. It's not that the RS2 can't do it.
Yeah.
It's when you're comparing it to the 4000.
I got
the 4000's cabinet is like triple the size
massive. Yeah,
of what the RS2 is. Like on database, this isn't the RS2, this is the S2. At 10 hertz, the 4000 is 108 dB at 10 hertz.
Yeah.
And then the S2 is 97. So that is it may not seem like a huge difference. That is a massive difference as far as output between the two. The biggest thing that it's going to happen between those two subs is the feel, I think, in the low frequency.
Here's what I asked Tony. So Tony's is SOWK in the chat. He now works with JTR, works for JTR. So he asked him the other day, I said, do your 4000 ULF have output down to 5 hertz? Somebody was asking me. He said, no, my room is a lot smaller than my room. He said it drops off at 8 to 9 hertz. He said the sealed go lower than the ported, but the ported have more output at 10 to 20 hertz. So
yes, I would agree with that.
On the frequency. They're both, I mean, trust me, I don't need any more output.
Because I think what happens, given your graph here, the 4000 just continues to drop off. And if you saw the RS2 came back up and leveled back off, that's a guesstimation. I don't have a lot of experience with the RS2, but they can get lower for sure because they're sealed.
Yeah. So they're both great. I think if you're looking for just like, lack of better word, balls to the wall. I mean, there's 4000 ULF it's a monster, man. It is a monster, crazy, crazy, crazy sub. But like I said, and it's a different sound. I mean, porteds have a different sound than sealed. I think they do.
They do, but even the 4000 ULF, I want to say somebody was talking about it. I think it was it Newbie? Maybe it was Mark. One of the Mark, no, I think it was Newbie, was talking about the 4000 and how the 4000 doesn't even really use its port until it starts to get down underneath 20 hertz.
Interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I'm just regurgitating, but Scott has like 6 4000s in his room, which is I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe his body's just being held together by low frequency. I'm not entirely sure, but it's something else.
Yeah. So cool stuff, man. Great questions. So guys, we're going to wrap this up. If you're going to be able to come out to MWAVE, so I don't know how much content I'll have going like live. I'm editing a video today, answering somebody's question. I'll post that tomorrow. Then, like I said, I'm jumping on a flight Tuesday night. I'll be heading to Kansas City, hanging out with Ryan for an entire week. We're going to have a blast getting to know the VIPs, hanging out with you guys that are going to be there. We're going to do some cool comparisons. All the details are there. It's going down. Lawrence, Kansas, July 22nd, 24th. We'd love to have you there. If you can't make it out this year, we'll continue to share the details once we have a date and a location for next year, but we'd love to have you.
One question. So Rod Irish asked this question a couple times.
Okay.
I think we should just answer it.
Okay, go ahead.
Why connectors on subs and room correction?
So right here. Y connectors.
So like when you put subs through a Y connector, like a RCA splitter, and you run that through room correction, what happens? Well,
it just sees it as one.
It's just going to see it as one sub. So it's going to treat the output coming from 2 subs as one, and it's going to level them down and treat the frequency response, even though they're coming from 2 different drivers or 2 entirely different subs. It's going to treat it as one.
Yeah. So I think the hard part would be is if like you've got again, here's where I always go back to mini DSP. When you come out of and literally go back to my channel, I think I made the video either yesterday or the day before, but one of the questions was about connecting multiple subwoofers. And in regards to that, to me, the best way, if you got more than two, if you got two subwoofers or more, I'm a big advocate of the mini DSP. And so
Yeah.
you would take one sub out from your AVR or processor, go into just one input on the mini DSP, and then you can go out to up to 4 subwoofers. And those are independent, so you can balance those, you can time align those, and so forth. But if you just use a Y splitter, and let's say you've got a one subwoofer in the front left corner and one subwoofer in the back right corner, your room correction, I don't know how it's going to deal with that, because
Yeah.
how's it going to time align those? It
Yeah,
can't.
and what it's going to do too is if you have issues that one subwoofer is creating, it may correct those issues, or
Yeah.
if it's phasing or something, it's going to correct one, but it's not going to correct the other. So
Yeah.
or it's going to correct both, but it could make the other one worse. So in a lot of cases, all cases, it's beneficial to be able
I'm with
to
you,
fix both, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to split them and apply corrections to both. So
Yeah.
mini DSP for sure, or a pre-pro or AVR with multiple sub outs.
Cool, man. So he's got 3 subwoofers. He said he was thinking of running a second air for rear stage. What is that?
Maybe a wireless.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Maybe.
Yeah. My vote, I mean, I just like the mini DSP.
Who makes a mini DSP, decent budget mini DSP? Mini DSP.
Yeah.
It's like $100 some bucks.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
It's so that's the mini DSP makes one. It's called the 2x4. So that one's like 130. Then they make a more expensive one called the mini DSP 2x4 HD. So the HD offers 2 things that are pretty significant. One, it gives you higher resolution. And what that basically means is you have more control over your EQ. You have more, for lack of better words, it's like kind of like going from a 7-band EQ to a 20-band EQ or something like that. So I'm just using an analogy. Don't quote me. But you have more bands to be able to manipulate and to flatten out your frequency response. But the other thing, and I learned this from somebody asked about home theater gurus. Steven, I think, was the one that told me this a long time ago. He said with the HD or with the non-HD, you get, I think it's 7 milliseconds of delay. So let's say you have one subwoofer in one area of your room, another subwoofer in a different location in your room. You have to adjust the delay to get both of those.
That's because of its processor, if I remember right. It doesn't have as good of a processor as the HD does.
So it's limited to only 7 milliseconds. So if you only need 3 milliseconds, you're good. The problem is if you need more than 7 milliseconds, that 2x4 is literally a doorstop. Like it's not going to effectively time align your subwoofers. So that's why I always push for the HD. There's just some definitely added benefits there.
Yeah. And I would say, I see you saying a second AVR for the rear. I wouldn't do that. You're introducing a lot of complexity and variables. If you're going to get a different AVR, just upgrade the one you have to one that has multiple sub outs, or get a mini DSP, because the mini DSP is going to be like this AVR, but it's just going to give you the corrections that you need for the particular channels. And then if you buy something and then still have the mini DSP, you can use the mini DSP as a DAC for a different deployment in something else. Like I use the mini DSP as my DAC for my demo setup, and it works great. It gives me granularity. I actually have the Dirac version, so if I wanted to room correct things, I could. There's a lot of flexibility and stuff with it.
Cool deal, man. Great questions, guys. If you got any questions, if you got there's something in your room that you want upgrade wise, speakers, chairs. Ryan sells chairs.
I promise I don't bite.
He's got all kinds of access to some cool stuff. So if you need any AV gear, shoot him an email, Ryan at Ascend AV. Man, I cannot think. AscendAV.net. And he'll
You're just nervous about the event coming.
I'm not nervous at all, dude.
I am.
I have faith, bro. I'm telling you, dude. I'm walking. I'm taking a step of faith. I'm
Yeah, but
trusting.
you got deniability. You can, if the demos get screwed up, you'll just be like, "Hey, Ryan was doing those."
Nope, because I'm on this list, man. It's like, look, from the beginning, we've said we've gone into this thing together. I would never run you under the bus. So if it doesn't work out, then Ryan and I are gonna, get together and figure out, okay, what can we do better next year, and even get feedback from you guys that are in attendance. You may come up with some great ideas. We may find we're trying to do too much in an event. I don't know, but we had to start somewhere.
We'll find out.
So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to have a blast. So appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. Check out all the details, MidwestAVExperience.com. As I shared with you on my channel, I've got some new content coming. I've got reviews. I'm answering a lot of questions. So people are asking questions.
I love the new content.
And so I'm just replying to that. I can create more content that way because I don't have to spend a ton of time editing. And like my reviews take me 8 to 10 hours to edit, versus I can answer a question in a short form video, and I can film that in a few minutes and then edit it maybe like an hour, and then I can crank that out. So I have another video coming out tomorrow answering a question. So if you got questions, leave them down in the comments of any video. I'll try my best to answer as many of those as I can. And then I'm also started something new I mentioned earlier with my patrons. That is doing Zooms weekly and monthly. And so if you're interested in that, you can go over to patreon.com/youthman. But guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Get ready for MWAVE. It's going to be awesome. Look for some cool content after the event. I'll be making some content, and Dream Media is going to be there as well.
Yep.
They're going to be making some content. They're actually sending their videographer. That must be nice. I don't have one of them. They're going to send their videographer to hang out with us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So they're going to be making content on their channel about MWAVE and the vendors and the experiences that they had. FOMO is going to be there. I know FOMO loves to do live streams, so you can probably see him do some of that. So it's just going to be a blast. Look for some cool content. And guys, we'll end it here and we'll have a great time. Hope to get to meet you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you guys later.